for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Watson, touchdown! Hunter Renfrow.
Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Louisville baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and very proudly presented by our friends over at Motley Rice, MotleyRice.com, and driven by Stokes Volkswagen, StokesVW.com. Make sure you've downloaded the JB and Goldwater app, and you can always head to the website, JBandGoldwaterShow.com as well. All of our available options are right there. Just click on those little pictures. What are they called? Icons from the tech guy. Click on the icon, and it'll take you where you need to go.
It's an icon.
Dude, whatever. You know, it's Thursday. It feels like it's December. Gold jacket, green jacket. Speaking of which, green shirt. Darren, that's him. I'm in the garnet. JB, we're here till 2 o'clock this afternoon. 3 guests today. Coming up here in about 8 minutes or so, David Cloninger with the Posting Courier. There's apparently a board meeting at South Carolina tomorrow, and there is an athletics contract being discussed. We'll try to dig a little bit further and see if we can come up with what that might be. I don't know. David mentioned it, but he hasn't gone into detail, so we'll see if he's been able to figure anything out since a couple of hours ago until now. He'll be followed up at about 1 o'clock, 1:05 this afternoon, David Shelton with the Posting Courier, and we'll get into some high school football as that's set to go again tomorrow night. David will be thrilled to learn that he will be covering the game that Darren's calling on television. So we'll make sure to fill him up with some mac and cheese before he gets there. Scott Glaze will round us out with some golf today. Got plenty of college football to get into as well. There's games tonight. Clemson plays tomorrow night. It's another really interesting weekend slate, as I really like what Mike Morgan had to say the other day when he said it's not as sexy as last weekend, but I think he agreed with Darren and I in saying don't overlook it, because there are a bunch of very interesting matchups out there. We could be looking at even more upsets. There's been so many of them thus far this year. If you'd like to be a part of our conversation, like Walter and Clint and Adam, and I don't even know who else is in there already, but a bunch of you can hop into the Share Healthcare chat line. Share Healthcare, make sure that you don't get stuck with big medical bills that you can't afford. More affordable, more options, user-friendly. Just head to the website, sharehealthcare.com. Just check it out. That's all you need to do. Check it out. Figure out if it's right for you and your family. There are rates as low as $149 a month, and this is not like one of those car dealerships. Oh, as low as. No, seriously. $149 a month, and they go up from there, certainly. But you'll want to check them out at sharehealthcare.com. So, all right, let me get to the but we got DC coming in here in just a few minutes, and I'll tell you what you can watch or look for in sports today. But let me go back. I want to do a better job of, and I think we've been doing it the last week or two, of trying to make sure that we include all of you. We ask you to be a part of our conversations, and I often overlook many of your comments. So I'm going to try to keep my eyes on them as much as I can. Let's have another banger like yesterday from Walter. Yeah, well, Walter, if we do that again, Darren and I aren't going to have much more of a program. We got to pay bills around here. And our partners, they make sure that they hold us accountable. Let's just put it that way. So we will have some commercial breaks today. Clint, good afternoon to you, my friend. How are you? Craig, Good luck topping yesterday's show. Well, we're going to do our best here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Show tops the previous show. You got to be better today than you were yesterday.
That's right. That's what Coach Tanner used to say. Hey, you want to play this weekend? You better be better today than you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Giants or Dodgers, y'all. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I'm leaning towards the Giants, but I don't know.
The crazy thing is this is one of the longest running rivalries, right? It's only the third time they've had a winner-take-all elimination game. The other two were 1951 and 1962. So this is one of those where it's in the annals of the rivalry here, of one of the great rivalries. That's what you have coming up tonight.
Okay. All right. If the Dodgers win, won't the Braves have home field advantage? I think they will.
Yes.
Because they won their division and the Dodgers were the wild card, right? Isn't that right?
A wild card team cannot have home field for an LCS. They can for a World Series. They cannot for a league championship series.
Right. Unless, that's right. Okay. So there you go. That's so we need the Dodgers to win. If you're a Braves fan, you want the Dodgers, you want the rematch from last year. You want to be able to shove it up their butts and bring them to Atlanta. I don't know. I don't even know if it really matters because you can win it and here's my prediction. Nobody will sweep in the league championship series. It's not going to be over in game 4. So it'll be at least game 5, game 6. I'm predicting 4-2 one way or another anyways.
I think it shapes up, hopefully, on the Braves fan side of things. You hope that it's a good series and it's not overmatched because, as someone did point out, the difference in the regular seasons and the struggles of the Braves against both of those teams in the regular season, it's real. But the interesting conundrum is, would you rather have home field against the Dodgers, who, even though they didn't win the division, many would say they're probably the better team, or would you rather go to San Francisco, who you might match up a little bit better against?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it matters. Just beat them. Who cares? Win it. As Coach Holbrook once said at South Carolina, just win anyway. Just win anyway. That's what they did. Gamecocks did back when they won the national championship. Y'all remember that? 10, 11? Got a chance to spend some time with Coach Holbrook the other day. As a matter of fact, he's doing very well, and his Cougars think they're going to be pretty good coming up here in the spring. Let's see. Adam, part of me wants revenge. Part of me thinks we match up better against the Giants, as you just mentioned. Clint, GoFundMe for JB and Goldwater's bills. That'd be great. I'll throw my car bill in there as well.
You can go to Patreon. Go through the app or just find us on Patreon, and that works as GoFundMe. You could support the show that way if you'd like with our season ticket pass.
Yeah. Which we're working on some revamped stuff with that too. Happy Thursday, Adam. I think I already said that to you, and I missed one more in there. Walter needs some more fired up JB in my life. Yeah, look, I probably got a little too fired up yesterday, but I can't defend the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. He's done that to himself, and I always like to remind people that this is not personal. It's not. I everything I know about Marcus Satterfield, I know a bunch of people in that program. I do not know him. But everything I know about him is he's a good human being. He's a good person. But he's having a lot of trouble right now calling plays. I can defend Luke Doty, and before DC will be in here in just a minute. Before we get into all that, I want to make sure everybody understands. I wasn't comparing Luke Doty to Connor Shaw. My point was yesterday, if you were listening to the conversation, was we can't say how good or how not good Luke Doty is going to be through 5 starts in his career, because we didn't know that about Connor. If you go back and look at his numbers, and if you remember how he started, it was a rough go of it for Connor. In 2010, he gets in there against Auburn, and he wasn't good. He got the start against East Carolina in 2011 over Stephen, and he wasn't good. And then he starts starting after Stephen gets let go, and he was very average throwing the football. He used his legs much better than Luke, but none of us could have predicted at that point in time that he was going to end up being the best quarterback to ever put the uniform at South Carolina on. We just couldn't have predicted that. And so when I hear people say things like, well, Doty ain't the answer. Yeah, but we don't know that.
Right.
We don't know that. And that was kind of my point. And I just, I'm going to defend that kid. He's busted his tail for South Carolina, and they have problems And in his times, he's had his troubles. Shoot, yeah, he struggled a bunch of different times, but he's not the thing that's tearing that offense apart right now. So, anyways. All right. Tonight on the slate, Thursday night, as y'all know, Dodgers, Giants, are going to stay up late, 9:07 first pitch on TBS. It's Julio Urias and Logan Webb. Whoever wins moves on. In the NFL,
by the way, neither guy has lost a start in the last combined 39 starts.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Well, someone's gonna have to lose tonight. They might not get tagged with the loss, but one of those teams is gonna lose. I'll make a bet. I'll bet you $1,000 one of those teams loses tonight. Buccaneers and Eagles at 8:20 tonight. That's an interesting game. The Eagles last week able to beat Carolina, and the Bucs, of course, at 4-1. They're up there in Philly. They sure do love Brady up that way, don't they? And then in college football tonight, on the slate, you've got Navy and Memphis at 7:30 on ESPN, Georgia Southern, South Alabama at 7:30 on ESPNU. South Alabama is not coached by Mark Calvey in football, but they are coached by Mark Calvey in baseball. Hey, Calvey, and hey, DC, David Cloninger of the Post and Courier, waiting patiently as I ramble on. What's up, bud?
Well, fellas, a lot of words you use to describe me. Patient ain't one of them.
Oh, well, then you must be thrilled in the box every week watching this Carolina offense. Well, I bet you're just relaxed as can be up there, huh?
Man, it's all about just getting the story done right then. But there are a few times where I'm like, oh, my God, this is how a bad high school team does it. I mean, there are no words to describe how all of us, the entire South Carolina beat crew, were looking at each other and on the field when Jordan Birch tried to throw that ball last week.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, Lord. I mean, you just know. It was 2:16 left in the first quarter. I started writing my game story of a loss right then.
Yeah.
Like, it's over. I mean, after that play, it was 14-0. It's over. It's done. So, yeah, it's, there's a new first-year coaching staff. There's a lot of new personnel, there's stuff like that. And it's always good to hear the explanations when they come, even a few days after the fact. But, yeah, it's if something, drastic doesn't happen, and I don't think you're going to find the answer this weekend, but if something drastic doesn't happen, starting with Texas A&M and then going forward, I mean, you know how the season's going to end. And it's one thing to end with not many wins. I think we all expected that. But it's a whole other to end with you're now a year into this thing, more than a year, and you still have no idea what you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to look like. And that's not a good thing.
No, David, it's not. And, I want to commend you because I think that you, as you always are, but definitely this week, I feel like this fan base really just wanted honesty from the people that are in the program and the people that are covering the program. We've done our best to do that around here. And leading off with your words, your penmanship starting last Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, I should say. I think you've been brutally honest with people, and I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of folks. I've heard it; they've said it to me. David Cloninger has been spot on this week, so I want to commend you on your excellent work as always. David, it's one of those things where I mentioned this yesterday. I look at this. I'm trying to look at it through the players' eyes, and I'm trying to add up everything that's happened in the first 6 games here. Starting with Zaquandre White coming out like he did and basically not playing since then. The misuse of a lot of the talent on the roster. I get it. Josh Van's been banged up, but this staff has obviously been very unwilling to play guys who are banged up for the most part. If you're healthy enough to go, they believe you can actually go out there and play. So he has been playing. Defenses have noted him and shifted to him. They haven't figured out how to get him to football. He's apparently your best playmaker out there, and you can't do it. You got E.J. Jenkins playing behind him. We're told yesterday there's a package named after E.J. Jenkins, but, David, he doesn't even play. So they have a red zone package after a guy that doesn't play. I mean, there's just a lot of incompetency and a lot of things that just cross over that don't make sense. And I'm like you. I appreciate Marcus Satterfield standing up there every week and owning it. I appreciate his honesty. But, we also get to judge his comments based on his actions, and his actions as an OC right now are poor at best.
Absolutely, Jamie. I mean, I specifically wanted to ask him about, you hear a lot of these kind of general terms here. Does he have the feel of the offense, the flow of the offense? Does he have a feel of a play caller? So I asked him specifically. He said, I think I have a good feel for it. And he said it a couple times. And it's like I realized that, not everything looks as great, but I think I do have a real feel for play call. I'm like, okay. I mean, it does kind of get into that point where we're only as good as the information we're given. I'm going to ask those questions, and I'm going to print what he says. Now, I'm sure that he would never say that he doesn't have a good feel for it. But, I could have, had the time not run out right then, I could have said, well, judging from my eye, it doesn't appear you do.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that and make it a confrontational thing. But he knows. He knows exactly that this offense is underperforming and there's not a lot of answers. And it's time for excuses or reasons. And there were, Luke Doty being hurt, Kevin Harris being hurt, that kind of thing. They're long past. And it's just a case of like, listen, you ought to know by now what you're good at, what you're not good at, and you can start concentrating on what you're good at. And they're not. So, they've still got a lot to figure out. Also, Marcus Satterfield's name is being mentioned a lot around this week, and frankly, it's mostly, I think, a lot of wishful thinking from fans who, are very disappointed and want him gone. So the things that are being listed about are not true. And hey, I get it. I know people are frustrated, but it's just a case of like, well, record-wise, you would expect South Carolina to probably be 3-3 at this point. And that's not the problem. The problem is you should also see some kind of identity being formed, some kind of progress being shown. I keep bringing up the 1999 season because obviously when they lost their first 5-6 games, you knew how bad it was. And you knew that they weren't going to have a good year, but you could see that team was starting to form things. It was like, look, they're a running team. They play great defense. If they could keep a healthy quarterback and a healthy offensive line, maybe they'd have something. But they just can't do it right now. So you're not seeing any of that kind of progress, which would at least make the record a little more manageable to stomach.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And we've, I disagree with my dear friend Mike Morgan, what he said on our program on Tuesday. I referenced this yesterday. Sorry, Mike, if you're watching or listening. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm calling you out by name here. But look, there's a lot of people, David, who are not injected into this football program like you and many of those that we associate ourselves with around here. They have contacts and they're looking and they're fairly close to it, but most of them are looking at it kind of like an umbrella view from the outside in. And I keep hearing a lot of things like, well, what did we expect, guys? They're just not that talented. David, that's not true. I mean, this team is talented enough to be serviceable on offense. They have 6 touchdowns in 57 possessions offensively since the Eastern Illinois game. I don't need to repeat that number. I don't care what your talent level is. That is beyond putrid, especially for an SEC team that returns their entire offensive line, an entire running back core, an emerging wide receiver, and a whole tight end group. And yeah, Luke Doty is he's not a returning starter, but he's been in the program for a year. That, to me, the term serviceable is very appropriate there. That's not serviceable. That's like just turn the lights off and forget about it. Go home type stuff. It is bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, Jamie. And the fact is that they don't, have 5 stars all over the field, but they've got enough talent to look like they know what they're doing. And I think that's what is just making people so frustrated about watching this offense. Like, just, why do you keep going away from plays that are working? Why do you keep trying to be cute? Why can't you get anything together? Why do guys drop passes? Why can't you just block? And it's kind of like Marcus Satterfield saying yesterday. It's like, then it was the foot placement. Then it was this. I'm like, you can be as technical as you want, man. And I realize I'm asking a very broad question. But these guys could block last year. Why can't they block this year?
Yeah.
There's only been one thing to change, you see. And so I get it, but the fact is, it's like, listen, there wasn't going to be any kind of terrific season this year in terms of wins or losses. There could have been a bowl game. There still could be. I don't think it's very likely, and I didn't think it was very likely before the season, but there could be. The main thing is that you just want to see progress being made. You just want to see these coaches saying, like, okay, we're going to have some mistakes. The first-year coaching staff, first-year head coach, but you're going to start building something. And right now, it's just kind of like they're building a game plan instead of a this is how this system is going to work game plan. I know you have to, design your offense, your defense around your personnel. That's just coaching 101. I mean, there's not too many people like Jim Boeheim anymore who say, we're on a 2-3 zone and you're going to like it. Most people have learned, what kind of team do I got? Okay, here's where I'm going to have to tweak my style to fit them. And that's what they're trying to do. But you just don't see much progress of that week to week. And it's strange because you figured, well, with the offensive guys that they have back, they've at least got some guys to lean on. That part should be okay. The defense is what you're worried about. They just don't have a lot known there. Well, the defense has been fine. They played a horrible first quarter at Tennessee, just dreadful, but they picked it up afterwards. And through the year, I'd say, I think that's probably a solid B, maybe a B- defense through 6 games. They've done well. But the offense has just been horrendous. And you don't see it getting better, and that's the problem. That's why people are so, torqued off and then you're firing away. And, I put out a very innocent statement today. Hey, the board is meeting tomorrow about athletics employment contracts. Yes, I know what it is. I wasn't willing to put it out there on Twitter for my reasons. But it has nothing to do with football. So, of course, Twitter being Twitter, everybody's like, oh, well, I hope Trey Tanner gets fired. Oh, Mark Satterfield gets fired. I'm not going to respond to it. I'm like, you can use this website for wherever you want, but, I'd rather you at least be intelligent when you're trying to be insubordinate. I mean, could you just think for a second? You think they're actually going to hold a board of trustees meeting to the public where it says athletics employment contract? Tell a guy he's fired. These people.
That's not how.
I mean, it's why I think that thing ought to come with a hand function that reaches out of your computer and slaps you across the face every time you do something. But there's nothing to be gained from. But I get it. People are mad. People are frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's just what goes on around here. What I was kind of itching to say, but didn't, was comments like that are exactly why this school is viewed the way it is by the national coaching community.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly like that. So that's my piece on it. Whatever. Hey, do what you want. I'm just here to cover it.
Well, David Cloninger posting Courier on Twitter at DCPNC. No, I don't want to get too far off track here because you're the first guy. You're the question guy. Nobody asks questions before David asks questions type thing. Even though you've been upended a couple of times, that's probably sticking in your crawl here and there. But
look, man, it's just who's next to the microphone guy. That's all it is. I'm gonna ask something. I raise my hand. That's all. You guys quit making something more out of it than it is.
He's getting a little testy about things.
I see what's going on here because David started asking me, Darren, now every time when we invite him on, sure, $5. So I see he facilitates the $5 into the pocket of Steve Fink, and then he gets the first question. This makes all the sense in the world.
Oh,
I get it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
It was
all right.
easier before we had to start doing this microphone business. Just put it that way, where you could actually throw up your hand or just shout a question like in a normal press conference. But everybody's got to be on digital now and got to get the microphone and all that crap. So.
That's right.
That's how it all devolved.
Yeah, I miss the days where Spurrier's going, yeah, before you're even done answering or making your question. All right, so honestly, I'm going to ask you an honest question. I'm dead serious. I've joked about this 2 days in a row, but I really mean this. And I would ask this question if I was sitting there in front of Coach Satt. Why do you have an offensive package named after a guy that you don't play?
Well, it's a good question. But I'm sure that they have, packages named for everybody. They probably got one named for Trey Jones now. I mean, I think you have to have everything for every potential situation. And, let's be honest here, Jamie. If E.J. Jenkins plays that game against Tennessee, does it make that much of a difference?
Nope. Well,
exactly. And
no.
See, I realized that he played really well against Troy, and then he didn't play against Tennessee, basically. But, it's a case that every situation's different. Every package is different. Every goal line play is different. Everything you're going to do says, well, are they targeting this guy? Are they not? Did he regress in practice at all? I didn't hear that, so I don't have any reason to believe that would be the reason. But there's all kinds of different things that go into it. And the fact is that we all of us have to kind of get out of this mindset that it's always the guy that isn't playing that makes the difference. That's ludicrous, you know? And I do get the idea of like, well, if one guy's not performing, why do you keep putting him out there? I get that. And they've earned some of that. I mean, I have no doubt that Carry-On Joyner has earned a lot of his playing time. And I get the frustration when people ask me why, because all he seems to do is drop passes. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But, I mean, I'm not the coach. And this is what they say. And it's like, if guys earn it in practice, okay, fine. And you just have to see how it goes from there. But, you know, the fact is that EJ did play very well against Troy. I have not heard that he's regressed any in practice. So I would assume he's still practicing well. But the fact is that he just didn't play. And honestly, there was a time for him to play. You know, pretty much after that, still searching for words to how to describe that Jordan Birch play. After that, it was like, game's over anyway. So what's the big deal?
So you see all the players, David, you know, every week, the media corps asks for, you know, a bunch of different guys, and there's a bunch of different dudes that speak every week. And, you know, I've just thrown out a couple of examples this year, but obviously, you know, last week's debacle at the goal line, instead of handing it off to Kevin Harris, and you know, that earlier in the season, well, Juju played well, but then he didn't get the ball for a while, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I think we'll get Juju the ball again, and it just seems like a lot of what is transpiring on the field, and maybe the timing of the questions just happens to be perfect. But like yesterday, what about Jaheim Bell? Oh, we definitely need to play him more. Or what about Trey Jones? Oh, well, we're definitely going to do more of a fullback package. Oh, okay, well, so I get what I'm getting at here is there's a lot of examples to me that continue to point to this is kind of just a grab bag. So I haven't heard one player come out and say, yeah, I don't like my offensive coordinator, I don't trust him or anything like that. But do you have a general feel of just by being in their presence and being around them a little bit more as to whether those guys actually believe in the guy that's sitting in the box calling the plays on game day? Because I have a hard time believing if you're Kevin Harris and you helped run your football team to the 1 yard line with 4 plays to get in there, and then you go to 2 trick plays to try to score over trusting that guy who led the league in rushing last year to actually get it across the goal line. I have a hard time believing that he's going to be trusting the dude calling the plays anymore when they don't think he can go 1 yard in 4 plays.
Well, they're still here, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they are, but where are they going to go? I mean,
when you can get a free year, when you can enter the transfer portal at any time, hard to believe they wouldn't be here if they didn't believe in it. I mean, everybody's frustrated. There's no doubt about that. Everybody knows there's some plays that everybody would like to have back. You know, everybody knows that there's some plays that they could have done better. What I get from the feeling is that, yes, they're frustrated because they're not playing very well, but they still believe that they have the potential to do it. And then it's all going to come together. All of them know that not one of them has played up to his potential, or at least that's how they're viewing it, and that's how they're all going to take it. So, I mean, I know that they are frustrated because they didn't expect to be this bad on offense. But we're way, way, way far away from any kind of system about saying like, oh, okay, well, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I'm going to check out for the rest of the season. That's what happened last year. That's not what's happening now.
Right. I agree with that. And look, you know, don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. You know, I'm not advocating these guys are going to quit and everything, but I've been a college athlete before. There's a point where there are things that you start to question, and Shane has done a remarkable job, as we know, DC, since he's been at South Carolina and eliminating a lot of the toxicity that was in that building. And there was a lot in there. There's some people still that don't think there was as much as there was a lot in there. And that would be a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type thing for him to have to go through again. And that's why I asked the question. I mean, you're around these guys every day. I'm anxious as to the general feel of them and an offense that's been horrible. We all see it. So,
man, that's the thing, man. I mean, if they were that mad, there's plenty of things that you can do to make it not that way. Yeah. And you haven't seen any of that. So I can't speak for, you know, all 100 kids on the team. I just know the handful I talk to, and it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, no one's real happy right now, but at the end of the day, they've still got a lot of football to be played, and it's not like the season's over.
No, the season.
I mean, you look at the record, it could be better, it could be worse. But you're 500 after 6 games and saying, okay, well, I mean, there are games that you can win left on the schedule. And it just goes to show how much things change within a year. Coming into this year, I was like, they could very legitimately be 6-1 after Vanderbilt. Very legitimately. And that's good because they ain't going to win one of their final 5 games. Well, obviously, they're not going to be 6-1 after Vanderbilt. They'll be 4-3. But these final 5 games, they suddenly, 3 of them look, they could win that game. I'm not saying they will, but Missouri,
yeah,
bad team. Don't know what's happened there. Auburn, okay, but you get that game at home, and you always got to rely on the ability of Bo Nix to screw something up. He did it last year.
That's right.
And Clemson, Clemson still, I think, got a lot better talent in South Carolina, but talk about a team that ain't using it.
Yeah.
So you look at those 3 games and and it still could turn around. But obviously South Carolina's got to get a lot of things straight before then. And, that's what Vanderbilt is for. Texas probably ain't going to be too fun. But then you get a bye week. So these next 3 weeks, that's where the season kind of hinges. There's been a few of those already this season. I kind of thought the Kentucky game was one of them. But you saw that, okay, well, I mean, maybe they can come back after that. And then, after Tennessee, it's like, it's really frustrating, like soul ripping when you see a game get over with 2:16 left in the first.
Yeah.
And it was because you did it to yourself.
Right.
But it happened, and they've all just got to move on. I mean, that's the thing. And it's just like, look, it was bad. It was really bad. And I don't want to regress into the last coaching staff by saying what he would have said there. But they know what the problem is. And there are some things that can be fixed. There's some things you're not going to be able to do anything about. I mean, none of these guys are going to morph into Jerry Rice overnight. But there are some things that can be fixed, and that's what they got to go do.
Give me your evaluation of Luke through let's see, what is this now? 3 games this year as a starting quarterback, 5 overall. What have you seen out of him? How has he progressed in your eyes?
Gamecocks got a lot of problems. The starting quarterback isn't one of them.
Yeah.
He played, I thought, very well. There's some things he could have had back. There's some things that he's still getting used to. Speed of the game, trying to see all of his receivers at once. There's some things that have happened that aren't his fault. His line is awful and cannot protect him. His receivers have dropped a lot of passes that were right on the money. And, obviously the offensive scheme plays into that as well. But I think when all is said and done and he gets, say, 10 starts under his belt, you're going to see that he knows what he's doing. He's got a strong arm. He knows how to run. He's tough. He knows what he's doing out there. Now, it could be a lot better. But for all the folks, Luke ain't the answer. Go ahead, try to give it to somebody else. Who are you going to give it to?
Right.
Who?
Totally.
Jason Brown's a backup for a reason. Zeb, the only reason he played was because Luke got hurt. If Jason Brown was that good, he just started then. And that's nothing against Jason. He's a good kid. He's trying as hard as he can. But the depth chart is the way it is for a reason. And there's been, yes, Luke has not played perfect, but I've had no problems with the way he has played. He's done everything that you need him to do to say, okay, here's what this offense can do. And to his credit, he thought his running game was going to be a lot better than it currently is. I mean, I thought that you can't really judge him about this year because he's just going to be handing off most of the time. And that's fine because it allows him to grow and to see the game a little better and to know exactly what he can and can't do. Well, he hadn't had that luxury.
Yeah.
He has not had it at all. Because every time he tried to hand it off in between the tackles, bam, 1 yard loss. So he's had to do a lot more than he probably should have been expected to do at this point. But as I said, man, they've got some problems, but there's nothing is wrong with the quarterback.
Very well said. Totally agree with you. Look, he's had his moments. You're going to have moments as a young QB, but he ain't the problem at South Carolina. All right, Dave, DC, 12:35. Leaving football, final couple minutes, and we'll let you run here. I do want to encourage everybody, if you have not done it, if you get the Post and Courier, then you have. But if you don't, and you read it online, head to postandcourier.com or pull up the app and read DC's article about Jalen Foster. It's titled Gamecock Safety, Jalen Foster's Leap of Faith left parents confused, frustrated, not anymore. Obviously, Jalen Foster right now might be on the way to an All-American season. It's been remarkable what he's done.
It's a really good article. It had stuff in there I didn't know.
It's so good. It is so good. And anything pretty much that David writes is really good. All right, so I do want to hit on hoops real quick. We'll find out tomorrow what this contract matter is. I know that you've stated that you know what it is, but we're going to find out tomorrow publicly from the university. Tomorrow night, though, is the game. I can't remember what they call this, DC. I saw you at it last year. What do they call this thing? The Gamecock Hoop Fest or something?
It's called Madness on Main.
Madness on Main.
You like their Midnight Madness thing, but what they're going to do is at 6:30 on Main Street in downtown Columbia, they'll set up a temporary court, and the men's and women's basketball teams will go out there and just kind of shoot around, introduce themselves, take some questions, have a dunk contest, three-point contest. It's just a nice little thing to kind of introduce everybody and start matching names to faces along with the crowd. So that's a free event. I forget the exact intersection in downtown Columbia, but it's somewhere along Main Street, maybe at Hampton. I think it's right outside the Art Museum. That's where they'll set it up. But it starts at 6:30 tomorrow, so it's free admission. You just want to kind of see a sneak preview of the basketball teams before they get started. And I guess it's not till November 1st or November 3rd, but they'll all be out there. So, actually at the CLA right now, we're fixing to meet the newcomers and the veterans from the men's basketball team, and we've kind of been making the rounds among the women and the men the past few days. They kind of get started into a full practice gear. But yeah, it's it'll be an interesting season for the guys. I mean, they'll be picked very low when the SEC picks come out. They won't be in the top 25, nothing like that. It's because there's just so much unknown. There's 9 newcomers on this team. And you know that there is some talent there that was coming back from last year. But the other guys are going to have to fit in and play well right away for this team to have a chance. And that's extremely tough to do. And as for the ladies, the top 25 gets released on October 19th at noon next week. I can't say that South Carolina will be number one. I can promise you they'll get some number one votes. So they'll be very high in that top 25 when it comes out next week.
Can't wait for that. And as DC mentioned, tomorrow night, you get to familiarize yourself with the basketball teams. Well, if you are in Columbia or you're going to be in Columbia this weekend for football, the fair, homecoming, now hoops, you pay attention because there's a lot of new faces on the men's side. So you might want to take a picture of some of these folks so when you get into the ball games, you can keep an eye on them. DC, thank you so much, man. Really great stuff. Love catching up with you every week, and I hope that Saturday evening gives you something good to write about.
Well, it could be. I mean, all I got to do is walk out the stadium and go get me a corn dog and an elephant here, right? That'd be pleasant to write about. But maybe it'll be a little something more than that.
Yeah, that's right. If Carolina gets beat by Vanderbilt, they're going to have to close the Ferris wheel. There's going to be a lot of fans taking the ride and then hopping off once they get to the top. That's for sure. But, hey, buddy, thank you so much, man. Have a wonderful weekend.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
There you go. David Cloninger, Post and Courier. Mackenzie, you blew it. You blew it. That's what I was about to get him with before we went to break. Yes, it was October 14th, 1992 that Skip Carey told everybody that the Braves had beaten the Pirates.
I remember the call of Sean McDonough more than Skip Carey. A lot more. I mean, that was just that was the more prominent call of the Bream slide. And that's also one of the worst sporting moments of my fan life.
Yeah, but McDonough's.
I mean, there's only like one that even. I'm even trying to think. There's very few that are even in the ballpark. That's easily the worst. Easily.
McDonough's voice cracked in that call.
Yeah, it did. But that's like one of his signature things. Like some of his biggest calls, the Michigan State punt block, that one, some of his biggest calls, his voice cracks, and he owns it.
Yeah. Skip Carey's voice didn't crack. That was in Braves country. That was the call. The call. Line drive, Black fam. All right. Really good stuff. I hope a lot of you know, David and I joke back and forth, so none of us were being serious. He wasn't mad at me for asking those questions. I mean, look, and I know we got to go to break, but I think I saw Clint say there's no way that players weren't questioning Satterfield on Saturday, at least privately. Exactly. I mean, I haven't talked to one player, but yeah. There's people who
frustration is the buildup. I said this a few weeks ago. The positivity that was just like a fountain, a waterfall of positivity for months. And then reality comes, and it's just like after the Kentucky loss, I said and still believe it. It's still true. Gamecock Nation is hurting more than Clemson by a lot because the letdown has just been so far. Some of it deserved, some of it realistic, some of it not. But the letdown of the positivity to reality was a large gap.
Yeah, I just I think that people are they knew what they knew coming into the year on that side of the ball, and what they knew was that up front they're pretty good and they're going to be able to run the football. It's been bad, and they've seen progress on the other side, right? And you look at it and you go, like literally every week, people who are fringe football fans who don't know. I mean, my wife was sitting there on Saturday going, "Oh my God, what did they just do?" I was like, "I don't know." And that's not the only time, that I've had somebody like that this year say it. People who literally know nothing and they're watching it going, well, why are we trying to outthink the whole tank here? Just do what you do. I'm very hopeful, and I don't believe this. I don't think at all that there's a bunch of players who are, wanting to revolt or don't want to be there or something like that. Like, I'm not saying that, but Darren, what I am saying is as time goes on, and we've all seen this everywhere in any sports program or organization we've ever pulled for, when the leadership isn't sound, that there is a trickle down gradual effect. And then all of a sudden you look up one day and you go, what happened around here? Well, it's been happening, but you let it fester. And that's kind of that's why I've asked this question all week. What about the players? Because if I'm Zaquandre White, who did literally, like, I don't care what people say. Well, his running style is this. Don't care. He ran for 130 yards in the first game, and he literally hasn't played since. Like, don't care. I'm talking about how he feels. Like, what else could I have possibly done to earn more playing time than that? And, Kevin Harris he's starting to get into the groove, which is great for this team. They need him in the groove in more ways than you could possibly dream of, right? But he's in the groove, and then he's on the one, and he's not good enough to get the ball. Josh Vann, like, you've asked me for all preseason. I finally get a coaching change around here. Somebody believes in me. I get to go out there and play, and I'm playing my best football. I'm making all these plays for everybody, and now they've got me targeted. They're double teaming me, and they're playing press coverage. Like, can't you figure out a way to help me get the football here and there? I mean, those things, like, that adds up, man. Mm-hmm. And that's my fear. Like,
you're right, but there's still there. It's all a part of all of this. I didn't expect the call on the goal line was laughable. There have been questions. Obviously, this is like exactly the type of team I expected. Right? I came into the year saying there is some talent. It's not like world-beating talent. There's some. I see 4 wins. Maybe there's another. So let's see how they evolve. I get the frustration. I get it. I get it. You're passionate, not you. Everyone, fans, passion. Sure. That's what's there. I get it. I understand the frustration. Just pump it a bit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, but you look at the other side on defense. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, the defense isn't going to be any good." I never said that. You know me, Darren. I've been waving this flag for a while. I said, I think this defense is better than people think it is. Mm-hmm. And look at the guys over there. Look at Brad Johnson. He's having the best year of his career. I mean, look at Jalen Foster. Who the hell saw him coming up and doing what he's doing? And JJ is going to be a top 10 pick, guys, not a first rounder. This dude's going to be a top 10 pick. I mean, he's one of the two best defensive ends in this league. I mean, these guys are they're playing above their heads like we thought they had a chance to. Mm-hmm. And on offense, it's been poor. And that, again, I'm just speaking the language here. It just goes back to coaching. And they got to coach them up, and they got to get them in there. And, people look at the offensive line and they hammer that offensive line. God, these guys suck, and this, that, and the other. I've been one of them. I thought this guy's terrible. Well, you know how many of those guys are going, dude, y'all don't understand. Like, we can't figure out what they're asking us to do here. That's my point, is a lot of that will fester. And when it festers, you eventually have to make a change. I don't think they're going to make a change right now. I don't think they're going to make a change next week. I don't think they're going to make a change on November the 14th.
Nope. If
they make any changes, I think they'll be in the postseason. But something's got to change if they want to win more games here in 2021. We'll leave that up to Coach Beamer. We've got a lot of faith in him and what he can do. I will say this, though, before we go. Clint, I disagree with you, man. I still think White should be on defense. There's a reason FSU moved him to linebacker. Yeah, the reason is Willie Taggart was down there. That's why. Willie Taggart didn't have the first dang clue what he was doing as a coach at Florida State. So I love you, but I disagree with you on that one. I do agree with Darren, though. If we'd like to stay on the air, we need to take a break. 12:46 on a Thursday afternoon. We're going to hit that timeout. We'll come back and take a peek at the weekend slate right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, very proudly presented by Motley Rice.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right. We take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle, and we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about: stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations: Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater show and the Big Gamecock Preview show.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and on.
Mr. Patrick Davis coming to town next week. He's not performing. This is just,
So he's not in Alaska or Hawaii or California or anywhere else that we'd all rather be?
He's going to be down here next week. This is inside info. 12:50 Thursday afternoon. Motley Rice fights every day for Americans injured while traveling on plane or bus or who've been harmed by medical drugs and devices burdened by auto recalls like the Takata airbags, headquartered right here in the Palmetto State, right here where we are in the Low Country on the banks of Charleston Harbor. MotleyRice.com. They will never, ever, ever forget their local roots. I love this. I love this combo going on over here about the old Pirates days.
I really. So Mackenzie,
these are your heroes. Doug Drabeck's your hero, right?
Well, the Pirates team. So what I'm remembering, like I could list that entire team for you. I mean, that was my childhood. I remember watching that slide on my parents' bed and crying. I don't remember where they weren't home. I remember that. So this is just flooding back memories, and I'm getting really, really angry. Like I'm getting like you angry yesterday now, just going through this chat thinking of Sid Bream.
Well, Penn State sucks, just so you know.
Well, it would be helpful if Sean Clifford were healthy in 2 more.
Penn State sucks. The Pirates suck. The Steelers suck.
The second 2 things are true. Washington football team has issues. They're going to honor Sean Taylor, and they're doing so on 3 days' notice.
I saw that.
Yeah, so they can cover up all the bad publicity that they're getting. One of the greatest Redskins of all time, and one of the good stories, and one of the most popular jerseys still today. Well, we're going to give you 3 days' notice. We're going to honor Sean Taylor. Why? So you'll look that way when there are 650,000 emails that way.
Yeah. Hey, I saw earlier today on the Big Spur, somebody said, "Hey, why doesn't Darren talk as much?" I said, because I was like, we don't want to get bogged down with Penn State Big Ten crap. But what I really wanted to say was Darren's pretty positive because most of his programs are decent. I don't want to bring him in the cellar with the rest of us, man.
I don't go down that road really anyway. Like even last year when Penn State started out 0-5, I was like, yeah, they're bad. They're really bad. But I'm not going to let that ruin my world. I mean, the business of working in sports, it takes a lot of the fan out of you, a lot of it. So the Nationals are really an exception. I've never done Major League Baseball, so that is a passion of mine. Outside of that, even Penn State. I mean, I could go call a Penn State-Michigan game and be completely neutral on the call. It takes the fan out of you. It just does. So it's easier to sit here and watch and contribute to conversations and watch the landscape of sports. Not a team or one sport in particular, just from that lens of watching it and trying to learn something and understand what's happening and why. And that's how I view it. I always have. Well, for the last 20 years.
Right. Well, what have you learned about Clemson and Syracuse? They play tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN in the Courier Dome. Part of our post-up careers, college football week 7 resume. If you'd like a career, you're one of the couch potatoes that just eats chips all day, and you'd actually want to do something with your life. I'm just kidding. Literally, if you need a resume written, Franklin, I saw one of his sample resumes the other day, and I felt like such a moron. I was like, I've been doing it way wrong all these years. Luckily, I don't have to submit a resume to anybody anymore, so that's probably a good thing. But Franklin and his team are just so amazing. But that's part of this week's resume. So I love it when Clemson goes to Syracuse. You always hear the same thing. Yeah, man, historically, they've had issues up there. They've played there 4 times.
That's it?
That's it. 13, 15, 17, and 19. Yeah, they lost up there in 2017. So historically, they've lost once, which is 25% of the games they've played. The other scores, 49, 14, 37, 27, and 41-6. All right. But this team might not be as good as those other teams that went up there, Darren. Even the team that lost up there 4 years ago. They are 13.5-point favorites. I don't know. We're going to pick the game tomorrow and talk about it more, but
I'll tell you this.
How careful do they need to be here?
I'll tell you this. When I saw that line this morning, because I hadn't really paid attention to much lines this week, really, but I looked at it this morning and immediately started diving into some of the numbers. I said 13.5, because I mean, if this was the first game of the year, that line would have been 25, if not more than that, probably. Clemson has not covered in any of its last 6 games. I think 4 of their 5. Whoa. Yeah, so that they've played 5, right? So it goes back to last year. I think 4 of the 5 they've played this year have gone under the total as well. So if you've watched Clemson and the inefficiencies on offense, that shouldn't shock you. But the fact they haven't covered it all this year, that is noteworthy if you're planning on actually putting some money on the game.
Yeah, 44.5 is the over-under. The kid, the tailback up there at Syracuse, the Tucker kid, he's run for 800 yards. I think he's like 791 in 6 games. I mean, he is really toted the rock well. Clemson's pretty good at stopping the run, but so we'll have to see. Yeah, that under at 44.5, you might think, well, I'd probably go over there, but I don't know. They've had a week off to prepare. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow. That's the highlight game nationally tomorrow night, and then the slate starts on Saturday. And again, this is a sneaky good slate, as Mike Morgan pointed out on Tuesday. You wouldn't look at it and say sexy, especially compared to last week when you had all these top 10 matchups and these just top 25 matchups in general throughout the country. But, you know, some of the sneaky good ones to keep an eye on: 10th ranked Michigan State at noon on Fox Sports 1. Yeah, Michigan State 6-0, 3-0. They'll have no problem at Indiana, right? Well, they're only 4.5-point favorites. 25th ranked Texas is a 5-point favorite at home at 4-2, 2-1 after blowing it last week against Oklahoma. If you want to call it that, or great comeback, whatever, they lost. Now you got undefeated Oklahoma State coming into town as an underdog, ranked 12th in the nation. Keep an eye on it there. Auburn and Arkansas. Auburn not ranked anymore. They're at 17th ranked Arkansas, 4.5-point favorites. Arkansas has lost 2 in a row. Heartbroken in Oxford against the Rebels last Saturday. So they got another noon kick against a Western Division foe. They are 4.5-point favorites in this game, but where are they mentally? Auburn is, you know, trying to get some of that momentum going back in their favor as well. Let me throw this at you. Is there any fiber in your being that says LSU can pull an upset against a 11th ranked Florida at home in Tiger Stadium Saturday?
Yeah, but I don't trust that fiber, because I had that fiber in me and picked LSU to beat Kentucky, and they got run over like a truck. And it's been pointed out over and over again. Talent is not the issue at LSU. There is talent all over that place. If you want to talk about losing a locker room, and if you want to talk about players not so sure about how things are going, you got one corner who's hurt, you got another corner who's now out for the year, you got a team loaded with talent that just got drilled by Kentucky, and that's just the latest example. So is there a fiber in me? Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
It's I feel like it's one extreme or the other right now with them. Like,
we haven't seen the good extreme though in a while.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like someone's either going to flip a switch and you're going to look up and go, "Oh my God, they're pounding Florida," or you're going to look up and go, "Wow, the Coach O era is over. Like, this is bad. It's over." I mean, you know what I mean? I don't see this as like a slug it out fourth quarter game. Florida squeaks out of there. Either LSU blows them out or Florida blows them out. I'm telling you, I don't see anything between that.
And LSU, someone just pointed out on the message board, LSU can't run the ball. They can't. No, that's a fact here. Yeah. So they're not going to blow out Florida. And if they win the game, maybe. But in my eyes, the Edo era is over. It's a matter of when. It's over. And I think you're seeing that on the field. I think you see that in the effort on the field, the knowledge that this is – what are we doing? You see that there, and that it's pretty evident there.
It's a 11 a.m. kick, by the way, in Baton Rouge, noon Eastern. But here's the slate for LSU in case anybody missed this early in the week. Florida, at Ole Miss, week off, at Bama. Ooh. Arkansas at home. Thank God they get ULM, and then A&M. So outside of ULM, every team left is in the top 25.
Yeah, and will be favored against LSU. They could easily lose all those games except for Louisiana Monroe. And then the question is, does Orgeron make it to the end, or does Woodward just pull the plug at some point?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. 3:30 CBS, Georgia. It's amazing. This is here. What's amazing about this, I know we got to go. I thought there's no way that this is possible when I saw this stat. There's no way that this is the first time that two Eastern Division opponents are 6-0 facing each other. That's impossible. And I thought, well, wait, Carolina and Georgia were both 6-0 when they faced each other back in 2012. No, they weren't. They were 5-0. So, I mean, but you think back to the 90s, all those great Florida teams and Tennessee teams, and you'd like to think there's a year that Georgia, nope. This is that's the stat of the year to me. I can't believe that with all the history that's in the Eastern Division of the Southeastern Conference. And with two 6-0 teams, one of them is number one in the country, and they're over 3 touchdown favorites at home against the 11th ranked team. It's just unbelievable. That is all part of this weekend slate, and the game that a game that nobody is now talking about that everybody was back in early September before games started. Miami and North Carolina playing up in Chapel Hill. Miami's 2-3, North Carolina's 3-3, and they are so out of it. Mm-hmm. So there's the rest of the slate right there with our post-up careers week 7 resume here on the JB and Goldwater show.
Yeah,
all right, it's one of
the North Carolina thing. I looked at it, didn't even put it on there, but I had that same thought when making that graphic. I was like, "What? Yeah. Miami, man, like that belongs on here," but at the same time, it doesn't matter. No one cares. It doesn't belong on here.
Yeah, one of those two teams before the year was going to play Clemson in the ACC championship game, and now none of those teams are going to play in the ACC championship game. Clemson still has a chance to get in there, but I don't think they will.
Oh, yeah, they do.
All right, we're a minute past due. We got to hit this timeout. Let's do it. When we return, David Shelton will join us with the Post and Courier. We'll take a look at high school football slate tomorrow night here locally and across the state. We do have Scott to dabble in some golf as well today. So we hope that you'll stay with us. We really appreciate that. And we'll be right back on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Right here in our backyard is Motley Rice LLC, a law firm that hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for South Carolinians who were injured while traveling by plane or bus, harmed by medical drugs and devices, or burdened by dangerous auto recalls, including Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. We are honored to have Motley Rice as a sponsor for the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risk their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Cloninger, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work, and to others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Cloninger, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
live, loud, and online.
All right, 105 Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Very proudly presented by Motley Rice. JB and Darren, make sure you've downloaded the app. Follow us on social media at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. Jamie, good note there. Churchill, not me. I'm not talking to myself. Tennessee and Florida used to always play in week 3, which obviously would tell you why they weren't 6-0 when they played each other. Like Kentucky and Georgia will be this weekend. Thanks to David Cloninger in the first half with the Post and Courier. And now on to the next David Shelton, covering high school sports for the Post and Courier at 105 here on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon. What's up, bud?
Well, it is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. Finally.
I think of about 640 things I'd rather be doing than talking to you two guys.
Well, fine. Bye. Like, we're not going to waste your time.
What? Name one, pal.
I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, that was a low blow. Who is calling my phone from Utahville? You got to be kidding me. Probably one of these. You know how many cruises I've won in the last 3 weeks, guys? What's that?
Greg Gardner from Utahville.
He might be calling me, old Gardy. Hey, look, about every other time my phone rings, it's some random number with like a random part of the state, Utahville, Cheraw. I'm like, and I've started answering them, and it's Hilton Honors, Marriott, or a free cruise. How do I get out of this? How do these people stop calling me?
You have to do ignore would be a good thing. Don't answer the damn thing. But, that's what I do. Yeah. I just don't. If it don't ring up a number I know, I don't answer. They can leave a voicemail.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost never answer my phone. Talking on the phone to me has become really annoying, just in general.
That's what my wife says. Y'all get along.
Yeah, all we do now is text.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I can't even. I coach baseball. These young skulls full of mush at Cane Bay, and I tell them, they always ask me stuff like, Coach, what was it like when you didn't have a cell phone? And Coach, what was it like pre-internet? And I just want to, make them run polls until they pass out.
Dude,
this is what it's like.
They're like,
you know what it was like? It was
you
awesome.
You were so old, Coach.
Hey, I think it was awesome. I missed the time where you could just disconnect, not because you were disconnecting, because you were just disconnected. Like there was no way to connect.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell them all the time. I was like, guys, when I was growing up, it was baseball, football, or basketball from the time we woke up in the morning until the time we went to bed at night. Mm-hmm. There was no computer games and cell phones and they look at me like, what? Like, y'all went out and played baseball in an open field all day in the heat? I'm like, yeah, because we loved it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
And there was nothing else to do. And we all rode our bikes there when we went there because everybody had a bicycle. Now nobody has a bicycle. They have skateboards. They have what's the
What's the hoverboards? Boards? Yeah, the hoverboards.
Yeah, I mean that's how they drive. My 11-year-old grandson's got one, and I'm like, really, dude? He's like, man, they're so cool. And I'm like, how about try walking? How about jog? Yeah. They look at me like, what are you crazy? Yeah. Like you don't do it. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm old now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, well, when we were younger, obviously we're not as old as you, David. You're older than everybody.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. I remember we used to, because we ticked everybody off in the neighborhood we grew up in. Mike Sisko and I and a bunch of other guys you know well that you covered. As a matter of fact, we hit so many home runs in this guy's backyard. They used to always kick us out of there. But I remember one day, everybody showed up on their bikes to play, and here comes Mike Sisko on do y'all remember when the GoPeds first came out? You remember GoPeds? They were scooters with a motor on the back of them.
Yeah.
And he comes riding up on his little GoPed, and we're like, you piece of you-know-what. We're all pedaling our bikes, and you got a GoPed Mr. Ham sandwich because they owned Heavenly Ham at the time, which is now Honey Baked, of course. Yeah, that was when I realized the world was changing. I asked my mom for a GoPed, and she about threw up and then laughed and told me to go upstairs.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Like a GoPed? No, your pedals work fine. All right. Anyways, hey, let's get a move on it here because I know you and Darren can't wait to see each other tomorrow. David, do you know what that means?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. He texted me this morning.
Yeah. Just by the way,
make sure you've got a snack. OCA and Hanahan. Hanahan's 5-1. OCA is 4-3. So
it can still go quickly.
Yeah, it'll probably go pretty quick. What do you think about this?
Well, Hanahan's part, it'll go quickly because they run the football. But Oceanside is a little more balanced, and the incomplete passes are a problem, but they do complete a lot of passes. So yeah, I think the game will run smoothly. I covered the game last year, and it was normal time. The little red hat guy, he's a pain in the rear, but Darren, are y'all going to set up in the home press box or the visitors press box?
I have no idea. It is not up to me. I show up and I sit down where they tell me to go.
The home is bigger.
We haven't been.
I would assume the home because Oceanside also does a broadcast. So I'm assuming they're going to be in the visitors box.
Yeah, they'll get bumped.
And I'm trying to determine where I'm going to be,
My guess is we're on the home side.
In the home box.
Yeah, the truck parks behind the home side, or it has. We haven't been to Hanahan in years, but it has parked behind that side, and we've been on that side. But I have no idea is the answer. That's above my pay grade.
I just wondered that. Yeah. I would assume y'all. There's more room in the home box.
Yeah.
I think they have like a designated box for Darren. It's called the Darren box.
Everyone's good.
He's just the talent, David. He's just the talent. He shows up and he's like, "Where are my damn nachos?"
Yeah.
Where
some nachos.
I'll try that tomorrow.
I wanted
Ron Burgundy.
I wanted jalapenos. Never mind. So who wins this game? Well, Darren, you can't. Who do you think wins this game tomorrow? Hanahan, OCA.
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. I can't ask Darren. He has to be neutral.
I don't have an answer.
Oh yeah. Well, I have to be neutral, but I'm going to tell you what I think. And I think Hanahan has a chance. If they can do what they do, run the football, control the clock. I mean, they're capable of putting together 5-minute drives, and they got a couple of good backs. Their offensive line is coming along pretty well, but Oceanside on the other side is a lot more balanced. They also have a really good offensive line. I think kind of like last year, although last year, Hanahan was winning 7-0 at the half, and then they just ran out of gas. They play several guys both ways, and Oceanside ended up winning like 16-7, I think it was. I could see a similarly low-scoring game, very competitive. I mean, earlier in the week I said Hanahan's going to win. Today I'm kind of feeling like Oceanside might win. I think they're playing better. But the big thing is the winner is going to win that region and be a number 1 seed in the playoffs. The loser is going to be number 2, which will be a home game in the first round. But you want to stay out of that. You'd like to stay out of that number 2 seed because you may end up in the bracket with Dillon, which is not a good bracket to be in. And, so I think it's very important because neither one of these teams is going to lose again after Friday night. They're going to win out. Because the region's just not good, and so that throws it all on. That throws all the marbles in this game. So it'll be very intense. Hanahan is very excited about the opportunity. I suspect it will be a very nice crowd. Oceanside usually, travels pretty well, so it should be a really good atmosphere, which has been something that has not happened at Hanahan in a few years. The atmosphere of a big game like this. So it ought to be fun. I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Under the beautiful oak trees over there in Hanahan, South Carolina.
Nice setting. It really is a nice setting.
It is. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful ballpark, and I hope it's a great game and hope it ends at midnight for both of you. Goose Creek and Cane Bay tomorrow. Goose Creek is at Cane Bay. What a game last week between Fort Dorchester and the Gators, 38-34 final in favor of the Patriots. And now they're looking to rebound against Cane Bay, who's 6-1, David. That's an awesome start to the season for them.
Yeah, it's the best season they've had since R.J. Roderick was the quarterback. And they've really put together some nice things. They're going to – I mean, Goose Creek's going to be the best team they played. And Goose Creek's got to really get that bounce back. I mean, they lost a heartbreaker. They threw the screen pass with like 15 seconds left, and Simmons catches it and goes straight down the middle of the field, headed for the end zone, about to score. And Davion Joyner comes from nowhere and just grabbed him by his shoelaces, literally, and tripped him up at the 1 yard line with like 2 seconds left. And Goose Creek tries to run a play. They get stuffed at the goal line. They didn't get in. A lot of controversy on that, but I'm pretty sure he did not get in after talking to some people who got good angles and whatnot. But I mean, literally, that game was over. He was in the clear, and you can see it on film because I talked to Jason Winstead, and I went back and looked at it. Demetri Simmons was going to score the winning touchdown. It was over, and he looked to his left side to make sure nobody was behind him. But Joyner was coming on the right side, and Joyner is a receiver. He doesn't even play defensive back, but he was in the game because it was a game-ending play. You know, you put your best athletes back there in the back, and he did not. Simmons kind of pulled up a little bit, like he was going to coast about the 15-yard line. He didn't see him. And Joyner, in the press box, you could see Joyner closing, and you're like, oh my God, is he going to catch him? And I mean, literally, Joyner dove. I mean, it was an unbelievable tackle because if he does not hit the foot, it caused Simmons to kind of stumble. The game's over. I mean, Goose Creek beats Fort Dorchester. I mean, there was 2 seconds left on the clock. But what Fort did and what both teams did in the fourth quarter was nothing short of amazing. I mean, Darren, you being a broadcaster, I thought of you later on that night when I was thinking about the game, and I thought about what if Gus Johnson had been doing play-by-play in this game, because you know he's a freaking maniac.
Yeah, he'd have screamed
when oh my God, the screaming would have been. I mean, because Fort would score, Goose Creek would score, Fort would score. You'd think, okay, Goose Creek just took the lead. There's like 2.5 minutes left. There's no way Fort's going down. And Zoltan Osborne just goes, but touchdown. I mean, and Jason Winstead told me yesterday, because he went back and looked at the film, and I was calling him about Cane Bay, and he said, I'm gonna tell you one thing. He said, we lost the game. It was a great game, but he said Zoltan Osborne at Fort Dorchester is one of the most accurate quarterbacks I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing it a long time. And he made some throws in coverage, tight windows, and I mean, laid it right where it had to be. Not one, but several. And then, you know, he threw for like 380, and the quarterback for Goose Creek threw for over 400. So, I mean, Simmons had 228 rushing and 120 receiving. And there was a 97-yard touchdown pass. There was a 70-yard run, a 70-yard touchdown pass. It was crazy in the fourth quarter. And, you know, it was almost like, God, you hate to see anybody lose this game because, I mean, they were just, going at it, haymakers. And, you know, Fort Dorchester showed me a lot because there were 2 times in the last 5 minutes that I thought they were going to lose. And Zoltan Osborne, you know, it's really fun. And it's really, and y'all have heard me say this, and I've said it with Cornblood. I say it on, you know, when you have a high school, when you have a quarterback, you can win a lot of games, especially on the high school level. I mean, you got to have it on every level, but when you've got a guy under center or now in the shotgun that can play and make plays like Zoltan Osborne can make, you're going to win a lot of games. And, you know, he's not perfect. I mean, but he was darn near perfect that night. And so was the Goose Creek quarterback. And it was just a lot of fun Both teams just made play after play after play, and it came down to literally a stop on the 1-2 inch line. I mean, that's how close he was to getting in the end zone.
It brings up a thought in my head too, though. You're just talking about Osborne, talking about Simmons. We saw a running back last week for West Ashley. What's his name? Porter. There are a lot of some of the best. But some of the best guys in this area, D1 probable kids, maybe FCS, but D1 kids that don't have offers yet, and they're juniors. Juniors if not later. From the high school perspective, are you hearing that from some of the coaches? The frustration building that look, there's some legitimate talent that doesn't have the offer yet.
You would not believe Jason Winstead. When we talked yesterday, we talked about this because he's like, I cannot, and he loves Jaleel Porter at West Ashley.
Yep.
Now he likes his own back. I mean, he's got a stud, but he said for them two guys to not have an offer is just, it's like criminal. He goes, they're both good students. They're both unbelievable football players, and neither one of them has an offer. Now Zoltan will get offers. I would suspect this summer that you're going to see some offers coming. But Jason was like, he was wondering what is going on in the Low Country, because let me tell you something. Jason Winstead came from South Point in Rock Hill, where they've never had a problem getting guys scholarships. One of the first, a guy named Clowney, a guy named Gilmore, the linebacker that played in the NFL, Devontae Holloman. Right. I mean, South Point has never had a problem getting guys to come to their school to recruit. And I mean, Winstead, he didn't want to call out names, but he said there are a lot of schools, particularly one here in the Low Country, that he has not seen since before the pandemic. There has not been a coach on their campus, and that can't happen. I don't care if you get the guy, but you got to recruit the best players. Citadel and Charleston Southern, they have to recruit the best players in this area. And maybe those kids don't go there. Maybe they don't like the Christian atmosphere at CSU or the military aspect of the Citadel. That's fine. Let them go wherever they want to go. But these guys got to get offers.
Yep.
For Jaleel Porter and Dimitri, and I'm not saying that. Now I think Jaleel Porter is a big time back. Dimitri doesn't have that blazing 40 time that they look at, but I'm gonna tell you what, he's a hell of a running back,
and he has a 3.4
GPA. He could definitely play in the Big South.
Yeah,
he could definitely play in the Big South, in the SoCon. Jaleel Porter, same way, and maybe the offers will come, but maybe is maybe, but it's October of their senior year, and you can't tell me. If I can go on Huddle and look at film, then these GAs at all these schools that ain't got nothing to do but look at film, if they don't see what I see, then I'm an idiot. But I'm telling you right now, Jaleel Porter is as good a back as we've had in the Low Country in several years. And the disappointing thing is neither one of these guys probably won't make the North-South All-Star game because of no Shrine Bowl. And now no Shrine Bowl, the North-South gets the pick of the whole state of all the top guys. And, you got guys like at Oceanside Collegiate and some other backs in the state. I mean, Jaleel may get there. I don't know if Dimitri is. I mean, the head coach is Hanahan's Art Craig, and he's got a pretty good back himself.
He does.
Named Josh Shaw. So I mean, it's going to hurt these kids if they don't get in the All-Star game. But I mean, come on, people, just pop in a tape. If you don't see Jaleel Porter he's 6'1", 185 pounds, and is a blazer track guy. I think he's going to be 195 pound, college sophomore. Those guys can play. Those guys that can, that kind of size and speed plays at the next level. And, if Charleston Southern comes in and offer, or the Citadel, I don't know why. I don't know why neither school is offered. Dimitri Simmons, they both fit in either offense. They're talented enough. You can throw the ball to them. In the Citadel's offense, they're great A-backs, I guess is what they call them. And I think it'll come. Honestly, I think there's just, it's just they've got too much talent.
Yep.
And now I will be the first to say that the Charleston area is not overwhelmed with talent, but there are a handful that can play at the next level. I mean, there is no question. Oceanside's got a couple that probably, maybe the underclassmen, but the running back, the big lineman, they got one lineman going to Charlotte. They got Offord, who's only a sophomore. He's going to be he's going to play in college.
Yeah.
Carson Arnold, their linebacker, he's going to play in college at somewhere. But it is kind of funny because Jason Winstead told me, he said, I talk to coaches around the state, and we talk about it, and the colleges are coming to see them. He goes, I don't know what the deal is down here. And I think maybe the perception is that it's not very competitive down here. And that is a honest and legitimate perception. There are not a lot of great football teams down here, but there are good football players. And I like I said, I think it'll happen for them, but it is surprising and disappointing that we're, October 14th and neither of those guys have an offer.
126 on a Thursday afternoon. It's incredible. I the quarterback up there, the Osborne kid, he's a player. He's going to be really good too. I mean, all those guys you just mentioned. And I totally agree, David. We've said this for a long time around here. It's not the most talented part of the state. It's not the most competitive part of the state, but there are players, and if you can find them, they're going to be pretty good for you. And
two of those players will be on the TV game next week. So Shaw, he just mentioned, is a stud at Hanahan, and Osborne and Jaleel Porter have the TV game next week at Fort Dorchester.
So West Ashley, Fort D next week?
Yeah. And
okay.
that will be, I mean, I still think Fort is clearly the best team down here, but I think Goose Creek has the type of offense where they're so balanced and they got those receivers, Kyon Smith and James Levine, plus Dimitri, plus a quarterback that can deliver it. That's what gave Fort Dorchester a problem, was their balance.
Yeah.
The West Ashley thing, they're not real balanced, and Fort D is going to load up to stop Porter. I mean, that's what's going to happen, and he'll make a big play here and there. But I mean, Fort's defensive front dang good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're dang good, and they're gonna be a handful for anybody down here. I thought Goose Creek had a shot because they took advantage of some of Fort D's great defensive front that was so aggressive and threw that screen over behind them. And Dimitri was in the open field a couple of times, but I and that's how West Ashley's going to have to do it. They can't run Jaleel Porter the whole night. They're going to have to spread it around through the air with him, get him, they line him up at quarterback sometimes. I mean, he's a really good athlete. And both these guys, we don't talk a lot during the basketball season, but both of Simmons and Porter are two of the top basketball players in the area. Both of them guards, both of them can play, and they're good. So, I mean, they're not just football players, they're athletes. And so when the basketball season starts, we'll still be talking about those two.
By the way, Fort Dorchester, I have the utmost respect for every school out there that we discuss and cover around here. But Fort Dorchester does have stall this week, so our condolences to the Warriors.
It's not going to be pretty.
No,
it's not. Berkeley and Ashley Ridge.
I hate it for stall, but it's not going to be pretty.
Nothing you can say. It's just going to suck is what it's going to do. Berkeley and Ashley Ridge this week. Philip Simmons, Woodland, Somerville, West Ashley, Stratford, Wando. What stands out of those four?
Yeah, those are all important games. The Stratford Wando game, they haven't won a region game. Neither one of them. The loser may not make probably won't make the playoff. Wando really needs to win because they still have Goose Creek on the schedule, and they've already lost to Berkeley and Cane Bay. So if they lose to Stratford, I mean, I don't want to break your heart, but
no, you're not.
Unless they beat Goose Creek, they probably won't make the playoffs. The loser of that game probably won't make the playoffs. So it's important. It's a big game. The Somerville West Ashley, the winner will probably get second in that region, which will be a home game. Now both, have to play for it, but the winner is the loser is probably going to end up third. Ashley Ridge will probably end up fourth. So these games right now, this week and next week, I mean, they tell the postseason story. And, you finish third, you go on the road. You finish second, first, you get a home game. If you finish first, you probably get 2 home games if you win. But and in some respects, you get the whole bracket as long as you win, depending on the way the brackets break out. But these games are huge. I mean, all those games you mentioned, Woodland, Phillips Simmons, both of those have to play Timberland.
Yep.
One of those 3 teams is going to win that region. It's going to be Phillips Simmons, Woodland, or Timberland. One of those 3, and they play each other over the next couple of weeks. So I mean, it's kind of, I say this every year. This week is sort of like the start of the playoff. Even though it's not one and done, it is. You better bring that mindset and that intensity to these games that matter right now. We get through the non-conference, and I say them. Game doesn't matter. Well, now it matters. That's the Goose Creek Fort D game last week didn't have any bearing on any playoff. It was just a great game. Didn't hurt either one of them. If Goose Creek doesn't show up to play tomorrow night against the Cane Bay offense that can do a lot of damage with that running game, Goose Creek will get beat. Cane Bay's good enough. I've seen them both. Now, I think Goose Creek is going to win, but again, the winner of this game is probably going to win the region, and the loser is probably going to be second. And so that's going to be the Berkeley Ashley Ridge game is not a conference game, but then Berkeley has to come back and play Cane Bay and Stratford. So this game doesn't really matter this week, but the last 2 weeks they matter. So this is the most fun time of the high school football season. Clearly, the last 2 weeks, in some respects, the last 3 weeks, but it seems to be these 2 weeks. A lot of stuff will be decided by the time we get to the 29th. The last week, a lot of stuff will be decided. There'll be some playing for third or fourth or whatever, but most of the regions will be decided. Like Oceanside, Hanahan. I mean, the winner tomorrow night is going to win the region.
Right.
I don't see Bishop England, upsetting. I mean, the winner's going to win the region. So it's a region championship game. It's like a playoff game, and you don't think those guys won't be fired up to play tomorrow night? It's I keep going back to it. I would be surprised if it's not a really fun atmosphere tomorrow night.
The state too. Final couple minutes with David Shelton. We'll let you run here. The state's got some pretty good games outside of the Low Country across the state. The Fighting Perry Orths, AC Flora, they're undefeated at 6-0, defending state champions. Of course, they're taking on Irmo, the Yellow Jackets, tomorrow night at 4-2. You got 6-1 Gilbert, 4-2 Brooklyn Casey. Up there in Casey, South Carolina. For those of you that don't know where Casey is, you've obviously never been to Columbia. It's basically Columbia. It's just over the bridge. Excuse me, David. Sorry, I apologize for that. Indian Land is 4-1. They've got 5-1 South Point tomorrow night as well. That's an interesting matchup. Good for Indian Land. Beaufort 6-1, 5-2 May River, an up and coming program in that one. How about this one? Undefeated 6-0 Silver Bluff. 6-1 Barnwell. Not Barnwell, all you Yankees. It's Barnwell. Don't say Barnwell in Barnwell. It's Barnwell. They will correct you in a hurry and escort you out of town. Dorman and Burns. Dorman's at 3-3. Burns at 3-4. Not generally like seasons for them, but that is a very important game of a couple of powerhouses going on in the upstate there. And I know I missed one just a little while ago that I meant to already mention to you. I'm pretty sure it had to do with Northwestern. Yeah, Northwestern's got I can't remember who Northwestern. Spring Valley. Northwestern Spring Valley. That's right.
Spring Valley, yeah.
This weekend. And hey, you've got 5-1 Saluda and 6-1 Gray Collegiate this weekend as well. It's for the state. There's a bunch of big time games going on, Dave. It's the best time of the year for me, starting to get into the middle of October, where you see those whom have separated themselves start to kind of battle it out.
Oh, that's why I said it's so much fun, because now you've seen the teams that have established themselves, and now I'm telling you, if I had my choice tomorrow night and I didn't have to stay in the Low Country, I would probably go to Barnwell. and watch the Silver Bluff Barnwell game, because not only are they two really good teams, they are.
They don't like each other.
Silver
They're
Bluff,
friends.
No, they hate each other.
Yeah.
No, they hate each other.
No,
And it's I mean, huge rivalries. I went to a game there, probably in the 90s, when both teams were just powerhouses. You know, the Barnwell had great players, Silver Bluff had great players, and I went to a game and I had to park so far away from the stadium because the parking lot by 5 o'clock. This is when they played games at 8 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you had to park 2.5, 3 miles down the street to find and you had to walk. The place, it was unbelievably nuts. And it was an unbelievable atmosphere. The game was like, I want to say it was like 27-26. It was just crazy. But that small town rivalry type stuff is the most fun. You know, I say it a lot, and I know people think I'm just being a tailhole, but the atmosphere down here in Charleston is just not what it used to be. It used to be when Berkeley played Somerville, the stadium was full by 6 o'clock, 2 hours before kickoff. That ain't the case now.
Yeah.
Now you don't even fill the stadium. You know, you go to Fort Dorchester game, one of the best teams in the state, and they don't, you know, it's never a sellout. It's never a standing room only. There's a good crowd. I'm not saying there's nobody there, but the days of 6,000-7,000 people are few and far between down here, and it used to be a regular occurrence. But I don't know what Barnwell Stadium holds, but it'll be SRO, fire marshal, kicking people out type crowd. It's going to be huge. And that Great Collegiate Saluda game is also a really big game, you know, for region championships and that kind of thing. Because you want to be the number one seed in the upper state, because Abbeville is going to win their region. They're going to be a number one seed. And however the brackets fall, you want to try to get them. You don't want to have to go to A-Town. So these games are huge. And, you know, I think both of these teams are capable of beating Abbeville. I'm not saying they will, but Saluda did it 2 years ago on their way to the state title. They beat Abbeville, ended that streak. And Great Collegiate is played a schedule that, you know, most 5A schools wouldn't even attempt, and been very successful. Lost to Gaffney, and that's it. So those AA schools, man, that AA is a real fun. I mean, it might only be 5 teams that I think are capable of winning a state championship, but all 5 of those are really good teams.
I'll tell you what, man, we'll leave it on this. We'll let you run. But, you know, I give a big shout out to the western half of this state, not to take away at all from the football that's in Rock Hill. The Midlands certainly has gotten better again in football. The upstate is always competitive and fun. But that I-20 corridor and like the western half of the state, David, as you well know, Silver Bluff, Abbeville, Greenwood, Barnwell. I mean, there's so many small towns over that way that Friday nights are still special for high school football, all of them. And I shout out to all of them. I love that. I wish we had it here. I really miss it.
I do too.
Yeah. And shout out to those guys, man.
If there's a high school football fan in this state that has a bucket list, if he doesn't attend a game at Abbeville before God calls him home, he has missed out.
Yeah.
You know, as a baseball guy, and you are a baseball guy, you know, I hate the Boston Red Sox, but I want to go to Fenway. I want to go to a game in St. Louis. I want to go to Wrigley. I've been to Yankee Stadium, but you know, there are certain things on my baseball bucket list that I want to do. And if you're a high school football fan, and you got it, and it really doesn't matter at a place like Abbeville. It doesn't matter who they're playing. Like they could be playing somebody 0-10 with no chance of winning. Those people are going to be there, and it's going to be packed. And we're not talking 10,000 people because you're talking small stadiums, but the atmosphere is incredible. You know, it's the first time I went to an Abbeville game, I almost didn't want to leave Abbeville. You know, I just wanted to stay. Just like I say, I'm just going to stay. I'm not going back to Charleston. And that was in the 90s. But it's crazy. And they live and die they literally live, breathe, and die for Friday night in the fall. That's like the song says, it's not like Texas where there'll be 10, 12, 13, 14,000 people, but the 4,000 people that are there are going to be loud and proud. It's a lot of fun.
They still shut the town down basically on Friday nights. And as one of my buddies from college once said, who, by the way, he is the caretaker for Luke Combs now up in Nashville. We called him Nudie. He's from Abbeville. He referred to it as God's country. That's what he used to tell us. So I don't know. That's what he says. It is what it is. David, we got to let you run on that note. But enjoy the ball game tomorrow night with Darren. We'll have him pick you up some mac and cheese on the way in.
I'll get my own. Thank you.
Okay.
Craft.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Made some for the dollar last night, actually.
See?
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, so you're right. You're avoiding leftover Kraft mac and cheese. Smart move on your part.
Yeah, I understand.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, okay?
All right, you too. Take care.
David Shelton with Post and Courier. All right, we got to hit a timeout. It is Power Hour, powered by Wando Power Equipment, where you can rent everything. Aerators, sod cutters, mini excavators, utility trailers. I know it all rhymes, but you can literally rent it all there. Utility trailers. If you need one, yeah, they got it. Wando Power Equipment on Daniel Island, wandopower.com. All right, 1:42. Time for a timeout. Final timeout of the afternoon. When we return, Scott Glaze is going to check in on some golf, and then we'll send you off on a Thirsty Thursday at the Dog and Duck right here from the JB and Goldwater Show, very proudly presented by Motley Rice.
Hopefully, you won't ever need legal help for a catastrophic injury or health issues from a medical drug or device. But if you or a loved one suffers injury or loss, Motley Rice LLC is a nationally recognized law firm that is right here in Mount Pleasant at 28 Ridgeside Boulevard. Thank you, Motley Rice, for sponsoring the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show. Visit motleyrice.com for more. motleyrice.com.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
Hey, South Carolina, what's going on? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Just for Scott. 1:45 Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show. Very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Right up the road, we talk about all these small towns in South Carolina. As of today, Hollywood, South Carolina is still a small town. But get your tickets fast because it's selling out quick. What's up, Scott?
What's going on? I need to get with David when y'all have your segment before mine. We need to shout out for my Sumter Gamecocks, man. Sumter, always good football in Sumter. I've always said that we are the Buffalo Bills of South Carolina high school football, can always make it to that championship game, but never win. So I think they won a state championship in like 91 or 2 maybe. And I think since then they've been to a state championship game 5 or 6 times and they've lost every time, but oh well.
Yeah, Curtis Johnson's the AD up there. I've known Cujo a long time. And so what you're telling me is there's a bunch of idiots in that fan base who jump off of cars and onto burning tables?
They're the Gamecocks. Oh, sorry, Bills. My bad.
Yeah. the original Gamecocks, I might add, Thomas Sumter was nicknamed the Fighting Gamecocks. So that's how Sumter High School is the Fighting Gamecocks there.
Uh-huh.
No, we just, man, good football. Sumter feels like a small town, talking about small towns, but it's gotten bigger. I've been out of Sumter, hard to believe, for 15 years now.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. And
the mall's still
back, there. Yeah, true. But when I
you better wear some body armor.
when I go back, I'm like, man, this is not the same place I grew up. But
no. It's not. It's I hate to say that, but it's tough. It's interesting, right? Because it's grown, but there's some parts that are just it's not the small but yeah, they are the Gamecocks, and it's because we all know the story. Just stay off the burning tables, Gamecock fans.
That's right.
All right, so look here, Mr. Golf. What I was just getting caught up. I mean, I've kind of seen it, but I haven't invested a bunch of time in it the last few days. But then today, the Hornet story caught my eye, so I had to. What happened here? So J.R. Smith, 2-time NBA champion, has gone back to college. He's now playing golf for North Carolina A&T, and then he teed it up in a tournament, and he stepped into a hornet's nest, right? So what's going on here? How did this even happen? Like, how is he even playing college golf? He's 36.
Well, you know what's funny? So, I'm 33, and so I was playing this summer in the Carolinas Open, and I was playing with a kid, sophomore at Presbyterian, and another kid that I can't remember what school he went to in the Greensboro area, but they were talking, and the guy from Greensboro did not necessarily know where PC was, didn't know about Clinton, South Carolina, or about the Presbyterian, and was asking. And this was right when all the J.R. Smith stuff was kind of coming out, that he was going to go back to school and that he was going to play golf. And I thought it was funny that the kid, however you need to say it, that went to Presbyterian, the way he described Presbyterian is, we're in the Big South Conference, same conference as North Carolina A&T, where J.R. Smith is going to go. So those two guys clicked on that, and we're talking about J.R. Smith playing college golf. And this is the second hole of the day, so we had not gotten into that much conversation. But here I am, pretty close to my mid-30s, not too far behind J.R. Smith, and these guys start laughing. They said, "Can you imagine going to conference and having to play golf with a guy in his 30s?" So made me feel old there.
So is he good?
He's a good player. He shot, I think he shot 83 in the first round. They played in Elon's tournament. I think he shot 83, kind of struggled. I was following along on GolfStat, which is the website that you can basically find any college golf tournament for live scoring. I think he shot 83, 78, 79. He's a good player. He's really got a passion for golf, and just kind of had this idea. Well, the first idea was that he was going to go back to college at North Carolina A&T, and then he wanted to pursue a spot on their golf team. And he made the team. I think this is maybe the second or third event that A&T has played so far this year, and JR actually qualified. He played his way onto the starting five, qualified by one stroke, and got to play. And then it was funny seeing those pictures of those kids from Gardner Webb and wherever else they were playing. I'm sure they did not expect to be playing alongside an NBA Finals champion. And And then to come to find out, he got in a hornet's nest or Yellow Jackets or something like that. So there's going to be some hoopla following around J.R. Smith a little bit, especially North Carolina A&T is not a big golf school by any means. So these tournaments that they're going to play in are not the publicized big ones that we're starting to see now on the Golf Channel or some other places. So to be able to have coverage of these events, I mean, all those kids that are there playing it, that's definitely different than what they're used to.
Why is he doing this?
I think he just genuinely wants to do it. I don't think it's a publicity stunt at all. There's really nothing for him to gain.
Yeah.
Why is he there? Why is he at North Carolina A&T?
He went back to college. He wanted his degree, so he's like, well, while I'm here, like, let's play some golf, see if I can do it.
So North Carolina A&T offers a degree that he's pursuing. Is that's why he's at that school specifically?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Right. That's a good way to put it. That's about to the extent that I know as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you just brought up something interesting though. There's not a ton going on in the golf world, but we love to talk golf. So that's why you're here every week. You said that this isn't one of those college tournaments that is being televised, like the Golf Channel televises a bunch of golf collegiate events and things of that nature. What type of event, in your opinion, does Joe Rice? Well, Joe Rice, yeah, but Bulls Bay and Hootie and the Blowfish and those guys, all the events that they've been hosting out there, the collegiate events. I think it's the whatever you call it now, Hootie at Bulls Bay.
Hootie at Bulls Bay. Yeah.
What type of? I mean, I've been out there. I was out there live a couple of years ago. I think the final day of the event, and the Gamecocks won it. I got to talk to Coach McDonald, and that was fun. But generally, what type of competition is out there? Is that something that maybe the Golf Channel might pick up one day here in the Low Country?
I would love for it too. That is a top-notch event. The Hootie, it is called the Hootie at Bulls Bay. It is fondly referred to as the Hootie for short. And the Hootie was probably the best golf tournament that I competed in college. We played in a couple that rivaled that. University of Texas had a great tournament. Florida State had a great tournament. But the Hootie is special, I think, because Bulls Bay is such a unique and special golf course. It is that way because of Joe Rice, and that same passion flows into the tournament that is the Hootie. Also, the connection with University of South Carolina and Darius Rucker, who is a member at Bulls Bay, adds a lot of extra. Just
that helps.
It helps the event a lot. My freshman year, I was walking from 14 to 15, and Darius just pulled up to the clubhouse right there and just hopped out of his Tahoe or whatever it was, and watched his tee off on 15, and he's just out there to see some golf.
Yeah. Such a good guy.
Back in my day, before Hootie started to do their I guess homegrown, or actually it was before Darius went out on his country career. Hootie used to put on a show for all players, coaches, and sponsors of the event the night before, which was really special. It was up at the Plex in North Charleston, which I don't think exists anymore.
No, I don't think so.
And it was a good, kind of back to the roots of what Hootie and the Blowfish were. They played all covers, and
they'd let you hold their hand and cry.
Yeah,
and stuff.
only hit. So that was really special to the players, and I mean coaches and patrons alike. So I think that's what made the event really special and got it up and running from the early 2000s there. College golf tends to be political, and I've said this a lot when we talk about it or about team events. You're taking an individual sport and trying to make it into a team sport, which is hard to do. So you get that and that side of college golf. You also get the political side of, well, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type deal. And if you have a really great tournament, you start inviting certain teams to your tournament in hopes to get into their tournament, and vice versa. So sometimes you see, I think in this day and age of college golf, it's changed over the last decade or so, but I think you see fields fluctuate based on who's scratching whose back, so to speak. So I know that the Hootie has in the last probably 5 years struggled in terms of a national field, but has still brought in great competition. And in my mind, especially in the Southeast, is one of the best golf tournaments going.
We got this is ridiculous. The fact that Joe and Darius can't get national TV out there. I mean, what are they doing? We need to have a talk with them. I'll get Joe on the horn today, and we'll circle back on Monday, and we'll get this thing figured out. This is absurd.
Country Music and CMT can do their first ever live sporting event.
Ta-da! I'm in for that. I'm all in for that. Absolutely. Yeah, look, when I was out there, I mean, there was a bunch of ACC and SEC programs. The college was playing South, obviously the Gamecocks, and then there were some teams like from everywhere. It was like Arizona State was there or something like that. I mean, there's a bunch of teams that had kind of magically flown in. I think it was awesome. Maybe y'all should do that out at Stono. Your golf course is tremendous. You need to host a big national event like that. Let's do it.
I love it. That's one of my goals every year. When we sit down and kind of do yearly goals, I want us to host what I call a meaningful event every year. We did host a collegiate event in 2018, I believe. That's the last time we hosted one. We fondly named it the Battle at Stono Ferry, and it was a great event.
Creative.
College of Charleston actually finished second, and had a good field, good regional field there. We hosted an event back in the early 2010s. Had it for a few years, called it the Charleston Shootout. We've hosted the Southern Conference Championship before. We've hosted the Women's Southern Conference Championship before, back when the college was part of the SoCon. And we've hosted the state junior championship. We've hosted the state super senior championship. So our golf course is capable of holding some big time events. And I would love to. I'll have to talk with Coach Mitch and Coach Futrell. Shout out to the women's CFC golf team. Stono Ferry is home to College Charleston men's and women's golf teams. The women just won a tournament they hosted down at the Plantation Course at Edisto, by a convincing margin. But Coach Futrell, Jamie Futrell, notched his 32nd win for the Cougars. That puts him in 11th place of all active NCAA coaches for most wins.
Really?
So that's men or women in any division, 11th most among active coaches. So that's cool little stat. And the women's team at the college, they've got a great team, had for the last, over 5 years now, really putting good teams out there. So, and I think that's proof that our golf course can hang with the best of them. This is where they sharpen their tools.
You can sharpen your tools by heading to StonoFerryGolf.com and purchasing some lessons with Scotty. He'll bring his hair, his golf clubs, the whole 9 yards, and you will be much better after you have completed that. And by the way, if you know somebody that sucks and they think they're good, but they're not, they actually suck, but they want to get better, just shove the lessons into the stockings, like a stocking stuffer, stocking stuffers with Christmas coming up, or a gift card to the clubhouse to be able to purchase something from the gift shop, or a gift card to play golf, all that stuff. Head to StonoFerryGolf.com. Speaking of gift cards, both of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Come on. I got a little daycare down the school that's doing a fundraiser, and I need a little help here.
Here you go. I got them. I haven't put them in the mail yet.
Scott, where are yours? All you have to do is hit a button and send them over.
I know, mine's coming digitally. It's coming. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to turn my camera off, and it's coming.
I'm watching right here. I can't wait for this little box to pop up in the lower right-hand corner. StonoFerryGolf.com, StonoFerryGolf.com. There is, by the way, the CJ Cup out at the Summit in Vegas is ongoing. Robert Shrev 7 under, 3 shots ahead of Cam Smith. It's a nice field this week. Brooks is playing, and a bunch of the big names in golf are out there, so we'll certainly keep our eyes on that. But it's also playoff weekend with baseball and the NFL and college football. You're going to need like 30 TVs, Scotty, but we'll certainly keep our eyes on that. Hey, before I let you run, it's one of the greatest days of the year, October the 14th. We should all have this in our memory banks. It is National Dessert Day. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh man, I mean anything chocolate, hard to hard to go wrong with, or red velvet cake is anything red velvet is
okay.
solid.
I'm on the chocolate bandwagon. I mean, make me something really good chocolate. Dog and Duck sometimes has a Snicker pie that is just killer. Just
sounds
killer.
Tremendous.
Yeah,
I'm a banana pudding cheesecake guy. One or the other. Give me either one of those, and I'll be good. But it's got to be good banana pudding. You know, just
JB, my grandmother. Everybody's biased, but I promise you, my grandmother makes the best banana pudding you've ever had, and that's not just anybody with a Glaze or Thaxton last name. There are people all over this great state that know that to be fact. So I'll have to get you some of that. It's great stuff.
Can you actually taste? You know, some people, they put so much sugar and whipped cream and all this stuff in there, and you can't even taste the bananas anymore. Like I do like the bananas. That's why you eat banana pudding. Can you taste the bananas?
Oh, of course. I mean, she needs to take it to the fair or something. It'd win awards.
Fried banana pudding at the fair. Yeah, they fry everything else. They fry butter. My God. You're looking to quick trip 6 feet under with that. All right. Scott, have a wonderful weekend. We know that we're a little over 2 months away from Christmas, guys, but seriously, put that at the front of the agenda. The to-dos and gals, all you gals out there whose husbands like to play golf, gift cards, StonoFerryGolf.com. Book your tee times. It's a beautiful time of the year to play golf. Why would you not be playing Stono Ferry Golf out in Hollywood?
And do it early, especially if you're looking for merchandise or if you want to get something here in the pro shop. We're running the same problems that everybody else has. It's going to be tough to have stuff in the same abundance that we're used to having around Christmas time. So better to shop early than late.
Great to know supply chain issues are striking everybody, man. It's crazy. But good news for y'all, the 18 holes out there, they're always going to be there. So you can just go play if you got a set of clubs. Scott, thanks, buddy. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
There you go, Scott Glaze, Stono Ferry Golf. It is National Dessert Day. I like cookies and milk, too. I like Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of generic. Chocolate pudding, better than banana pudding, and it's not close. But I do. I'm not putting down banana pudding.
What?
It's fine. It's tasty and all.
Darren.
Chocolate.
Guys, he eats Kraft mac and cheese.
Chocolate. Anything chocolate, better.
You're unqualified to have that opinion. All right. Thanks to Scott, David, Darren, and all of you. I don't feel like naming all y'all now, but you know how much we love you and appreciate you. We really do. We're back tomorrow. Raphael in the first hour, the big Gamecock preview show in the second hour. Michael Flint, JC Sherbert, part of that. All of it brought to you by Motley Rice, served by Whiskey Jam. It's Thursday. Have a thirsty Thursday at the Dog and Duck. Buy one, get one half off footlongs at DB's, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon on JBG.